Alright guys, so we have a 2015 Dodge Ram that the AC is not working. The owner said that he had taken it to the shop over by where he lives. He kind of lives out in the country. Let me turn that fan off. And they told him that the compressor clutch was not working. And so they quoted him a price to put a new compressor in. If they only put the compressor in, they said it was going to be $1,000, or they could replace the expansion valve and everything that you're supposed to, and it's going to be like $1,300. So he told them, okay, I'm going to hold off on that. Called me up, asked me if I could take a look at it and give him a quote basically on replacing the same stuff. And I mean, it would have been a lot cheaper if I was going to do it, because I don't upcharge for parts. I just, whatever I pay for parts is what they pay for. But anyway, I told him we might be able to get away with just putting a just the clutch coil on. If the clutch is all that's bad. Now this has got the, and the reason I'm saying that, this has got the R1234YF refrigerant. That stuff's like 60 bucks a can, maybe 50 a can, so at least $100 for a couple cans for this truck. This truck takes 1.25 pounds, so a little over a pound. I hate to evacuate it if I don't have to, so if I can get by, if I can find just a clutch coil for this, then that's what we're going to do. But the first thing I want to do is verify. Now they said that they checked, they had power and ground down there at the compressor, but the clutch was not working. So that's why they said that the clutch coil was bad. So we're going to take a look and we're going to see, you know, make sure, we're going to verify that's the problem, and then I'm going to order, if that is the problem, I'm going to order a clutch, and we're going to try to get away with just putting just a clutch coil on it. So let me get some light down there, and we're going to do some checks just to make sure that that coil's bad, and then we're going to go from there. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, here's the connector. I want to get that connector off so that I can make sure it does have power and ground. And then my, oh, look at that. Okay, so I can actually see where they pierced the wire right here. Hold on a minute. Can you see where that little pierce is? Actually, I see it on both the black and the white wire. They've pierced both wires. And they said that it had power and ground to those wires, but the clutch was not working. So let's get this connector off. Let me see if I can reach down it. Well, look at that. That wire's rotted. So the question is, did they actually have power and ground? See that wire? Let me get this off here. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jumper both these pins to see if that clutch will actually engage. Let me get some jumpers. Let's go over here to the jumper collection. Gotta do it. That will verify if I jumper those pins. Here's the battery, so battery's nice and close. If those, I mean, if that clutch engages after I jumper it, that'll verify the clutch is fine. Interesting. Huh. Okay, let me figure out where I'm going to put the camera up. Alrighty, guys. I sure hope that clutch comes on, because I don't feel like putting one on, to be honest with you. And it's, with it being a coil, it shouldn't really matter what side the power or the ground is on. Okay, so I've connected it to the negative part of the battery. Here goes the positive, and we'll see if we hear that clutch engage. Hopefully you're hearing that, but I can probably get you to see it too. So the clutch is engaging. Zoom in here and you can actually see the clutch engage. So power, no power. So let me do this. I'm going to start it up and see if it stays engaged with it jumpered like that. I don't want to heat the vehicle up any hotter than I need to because I don't want to have to work on it when it's hot. But right now it looks like we just got to fix that connector. And all I'm doing up here, as you can see, I'm connected off to the negative, and then right here. Hopefully you can hear that. I guess while I'm hooked up down there, I could also measure the resistance just to make sure that the resistance is normal for a coil. So let me get my meter before I start it up. We're getting 6 ohms. Does seem a little low to me, but I don't know what the resistance is supposed to be on that particular coil. But it's engaging and disengaging when I remove power. I'm going to hook this up and I'm going to start it up, and so it will be completely engaged, will not cycle, and we're going to see if the system gets cold. Okay, AC shows to be on, truck is running. I do not have it connected yet. Okay, it's connected. Oh, it's already, yeah. It's already cold, ice cold. Yeah, nice and cold. So compressor's working, clutch seems to be working. And I don't want this to be any hotter than it has to be, so I'm going to kill it. We're going to fix that connector. And hopefully this guy's going to be back in business. So let me see what the easiest way is going to be to get that connector fixed. Alright guys, so what I'm going to try to do, I'm trying to get that connector. I've got to have the camera somewhat out of my way. I'm trying to get that connector taken apart so that I can see how much wire. It looks like it's, you know, broke off pretty much flush. But I've got this insert almost popped out of here. Then I just got to figure out how the pins come out, which I think I'm going to snap a picture of it so I can zoom in and take a look at it. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, I see what has to happen. It looks like the little plastic piece has to be lifted up, and then the pin will come out. But I think I want to get that connector completely off there. There we go. Here's my little pin extractors. And I'll show you over here on the bench how they work. There's a little black, what was that smallest one I had? This one. There's a little black, if that thing will focus, a little black tab. I'm going to go right in between, right on top of this pin. I'm going to stick it. Now this one's going to be tough because it's broke off flush and I don't have no way to really get on it and pull it out. I might be able to get in there and push it out now that I've got the locking tab sprung up. Let's see here. Where am I at? Yeah, there it goes. Got the pin out. Now unfortunately, to fix this, I'm going to have to cut this blue insulator off, solder the wires together, slide heat shrink down, and then I'll be able to pin this connector back together. So that's the plan, Stan. Now I'll be able to solder that. I'm going to put a piece of heat shrink on the wire on the truck, solder it. Actually, I might not even solder it. I think I'm just going to go ahead and crimp it with my environmental crimpers. So I'm just going to use one of my environmental crimps. And then what I'm going to do, this is adhesive line. This is marine grade heat shrink. So this is the heat shrink right here that I use. And it's adhesive line. Whenever this stuff heats up, you'll see like a glue oozing out. And then when it dries, it completely seals off the wire. So I'm going to put that all the way up there whenever I'm ready to heat it up. And then we're going to be done. I'm going to slide this up on the wire on the truck, crimp that other end of the wire in here, slide the heat shrink down, heat it up, and then all I got to do is just pin the pins right back in. And we'll be good to go. I'll try to film as much as I can as far as this process, but it's kind of tight down there, so we'll see how that goes. Just going to strip a little bit of wire. Okay. Now, one thing you never want to forget is the actual heat shrink. Alright, now I've just got to move the heat shrink up, shrink it down, pin that connector and plug it back up, and he should be good to go. When you look at that, hopefully you can see that. That's a little bit hot. As you can't even tell that thing's been spliced. Those environmental splices are just, I mean, they're just slightly bigger than the wire themselves. That's what I like about them. So let me get the connector. Figure out which way these things go. Alright. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to fill this cavity up with some liquid electrical tape. At least the best I can. To try to keep water and stuff out of that. But we're pinned back in there, as you can see. And hopefully that will work. I'm going to slide this back on its little holder. Let me get some electrical tape, liquid electrical tape, and see if I can kind of get it in there without making too much of a mess. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot this piece, didn't I? Okay, I guess that's in there. There it goes. Okay. Now I'm going to use liquid electrical tape. I don't know if you guys have ever used any of this stuff, but it's really cool stuff. Hopefully, if I get it packed full enough, that's going to keep the water out of it. That's what this stuff is. Does a really good job. If you don't have a choice, you got to pierce wires or you got to do something like this. This stuff comes in very handy. I'm going to go ahead and pack that other one full too. It's got the little rubber piece in it. But I'm going to go ahead and put a little dab on it. So both these wires hopefully will be pretty much sealed up. So this guy was looking at about an $1,100 to $1,200, actually I think $1,300 job. And for something he didn't need, the clutch seems fine. Let's see if I can get that plug back in without getting it all over me. Okay. All right, so we're going to start it up. See what happens. The compressor is engaged. Got a nice cold line right here. I'm going to get my thermometer, put it in the vent, and we're just going to see how cold it'll get. The fan, I hear the fan working, so that's good. Got the thermometer. Let's get inside here. I can already tell you, it feels good right now. So let's see what we're getting down to. It's at least 50 degree air. Yeah, so this job went from being a $1,300 job to a $100 job. That's all I'm going to charge the guy. I've got about 30 minutes. Yeah, I've probably spent about 30-35 minutes on it so far. Looks like we're going to be done. I don't know if this is going to be a common problem on these. It doesn't look like that connector had ever been messed with, other than the shop probing it and supposedly saying that there was power and ground on both those wires. I don't see how there could have been, since the wire upstream was broke right there at the other side of that connector, but whatever. Anyway, we're getting down, we're approaching 40 degrees, and it's just at an idle. Let me bump it up just a little bit. We'll see if we can get 40 degrees out of it. We're almost at 40. I just realized I didn't even hook a scan tool up. So yeah, it's probably about 41, 42 degree air. I don't think you can complain about that. And that's sitting here. Driving down the road, probably going to be a little better. Anyway, we're done. Bad connector. Not really a connector, but a broke wire. So if you guys own this vintage RAM, and if your compressor is not coming on, I would check that connector just to see if that is maybe a common problem that happens quite often. I don't know if it is. The first time I've seen it, but I mean, I do this on the side, so it's not like I see vehicles every single day. Anyway, we got nearly 40 degree air, which is about as good as you can get on these newer systems, especially sitting still. So anyway, we're done. This was a 2015, I keep calling it a Dodge Ram. I guess technically it's just a Ram, even though Chrysler still builds them. They don't call them Dodge Rams anymore, but I'm having a hard time escaping that verbiage. Anyway, you guys take care. We'll see you in the next one.